A South African government delegation led by President Cyril Ramaphosa is in China to boost relations between the two countries. The initial phase of the visit was President Ramaphosa embarking on a state visit to China, where he and Chinese President Xi Jingping met face-to-face and where agreements were signed between the respective ministries of each country for the advancement of areas like agriculture, as was mentioned by Sophie Mokoena, and trade, among others. The key understanding reached is that China would work harder to promote a more balanced trade relationship between the two countries. Well, to discuss this and other related issues further, I'm joined by Professor Daniel Meyer from the College of Business and Economics. Thanks very much for joining us, Prof. So this idea of an improvement, a better improvement in the balance of trade between the two countries, surely that's quite a tall order given China's massive industrial global dominance. How far a reality do you think that can become?
We are partners with China through the BRICS formation. So it's important that we have a better relationship with China. They are the second biggest economy, and they are growing at quite a good rate of more than 5%. And they are our biggest trade partner, but not in terms of the net export. So our imports is much higher than the exports to them, and that is a problem. That is our trade deficit at this point of time. Can we ask for a better relationship? I'm sure we can. With the US, we've got AGOA, which is the free trade agreement. We don't have any formal trade agreements with China at the moment. And I would say that some sort of an improved trade agreement with better tariffs will assist us a lot. We are exporting a lot of raw products in the agricultural sector as well as in the mining sector. And if we can have improved tariffs, that will benefit us a lot. We need to turn this ship around in terms of the negative net export situation, the trade deficit. That trade deficit is quite huge and it's increasing every year. And definitely, I think if the president can discuss this, it should be a possibility that we have a better deal with China. As you know, China is not in the game of charity. Anything they do is for the benefit of China and the people of China. Yeah. And it's going to be some sort of the action that's needed.
So, of course, we know that a number of agreements have been signed between the two countries at the state visit, areas of agriculture, area of technology and so on. And we know that these sorts of agreements have been signed in the past at previous state visits and so forth. How successful have they been in actually seeing previous agreements through that we can trust that whatever was signed on Monday is actually going to come to fruition later?
Yeah, none of the agreements so far has been like formal trade agreements. Not even with one of the BRICS countries, South Africa's got a formal trade agreement, which is quite surprising at this point of time. And as I said, China is there just to promote themselves. If they do foreign direct investment in a country like South Africa, they make sure the conditions are to their benefit. And on the other side, if we have agreements with them in terms of FDI or trade, we must make sure that South Africa is going to benefit. They can easily just have foreign direct investment, but bring their own people, their own equipment, and all the money flows out of South Africa and has a negative impact on our economy, even if it's foreign direct investment. And it also creates an unfair competition for local businesses like the motor manufacturing sector. Chinese people and Chinese manufacturing can be much cheaper, more productive than ours, and it can push out some of our companies out of the economy even. So we need to be very careful with these agreements that it's to our benefit and not to the Chinese benefit.
Yeah. To the point that you're making about investing in South Africa, what areas do you think the Chinese business people are interested in actually investing in South Africa, where they can actually help to create jobs? And presumably there would need to be very strict agreement about the number of Chinese employees they bring from China to come into South Africa, because otherwise it's going to defeat the whole object. There'd need to be skills transfer and so on and so forth, so that at the end of the day, once, an investment has come to its end, South Africans benefit in the long term beyond that contract so that they have the know-how as well?
As I said in the beginning, South Africa is exporting mostly raw products to China. We need to improve our manufacturing sector, which is the economic base sector. We need to improve our manufacturing to be more competitive and decrease these raw products in agriculture and mining and manufacture more final products, and then we can export. That will be much better for our economy. The manufacturing sector is the sector that can create a lot of jobs, but we have seen a decline in the manufacturing sector because we are not competitive. We're not competitive in terms of productivity. Our pricing is too much. We had this huge electricity problem. But it seems like that is under control much better now. And if the Chinese government wants to support us, they need to assist us with investment in the manufacturing sector to produce final products from mining and from agriculture. That will create jobs. That will be a huge benefit for South Africa. And also to make sure that we are using high levels of technology in all of our industries, then we can compete and we can export more to China with a new trade agreement with less tariffs or free of tariffs for our exports in specific sectors.
Yeah, I think you're hitting the nail on the head there, Professor, when you're talking about specific agreements between South Africa and China that will give South African industry more wiggle room in terms of being able to export more to China. But given the context that you've just given us, how do you then understand or explain this idea of China and South Africa having a comprehensive strategic relationship? What on earth does that mean, given the fact that it looks as though they're still poles apart and China has the advantage?
There's no formal agreement that has been implemented, and that is the reason why. Even the Chinese Road and Belt Initiative that is very dominating in Africa even, where they are improving infrastructure, but they do nothing for charity, unfortunately. They will upgrade your harbor, your electricity network, but you'll have to repay them. And if you cannot afford the repayments, they take over very strategic ports and electrical supply systems, and that puts you on the back foot. So what would be better if we can have formal agreements with them, with specific sectors? And as I said, the economic base of any country is the manufacturing sector. We need to be competitive on world standards, and China, with its huge market, should allow us to have specific subsectors within the manufacturing sector, like the motor industry, that we can export to them at reduced or free trade. And I think that will really boost our economy. We have seen the 0.4% growth in GDP, but we need 3% plus. And I think China, as the second biggest economy and 1.5 billion people, is a huge market for our products, our wonderful agricultural products, our mining, our manufacturing projects. And if we can just revitalize the manufacturing sector again, and China can help us really with that, that will benefit the economy and we can grow at much higher levels.
Yes, thank you so much, Professor, for your insights there. Professor Daniel Meyer from the College of Business and Economics.